Dave Anderson here with the Fisherman magazine. It's May 1st. These are your headlines. We've got 30-pound striped bass being caught in western Long Island Sound. The guys that are grinding it out for Todd in Rhode Island are doing pretty good. And we've seen some really big largemouth bass caught after dark this week. Stay tuned for all that and more on this week's New England Fishing Forecast.
The ultimate fishing authority in the Northeast, the Fisherman magazine.
No guessing, just catching. New Explore Series fish finders keep you locked on fish with unbeatable clarity, best-in-class imaging options, and a stunning ultra-bright HD screen. There's more to explore, only with Humminbird.
Before we begin, we got a few news items for you guys. The first two coming out of Rhode Island. The first one is that this weekend, May 3rd and 4th, are a free fishing weekend in Rhode Island. That's freshwater only, so it doesn't apply to saltwater fishing. But if you don't have a license, or you know someone that doesn't have a license that you'd like to kind of get in on some fishing, take them to Rhode Island. This applies to residents and non-residents, and all legal freshwater bodies are open to fishing for this weekend, and all of the usual freshwater fishing regulations apply. So if you go out anywhere, you can take home some trout, you can take home some perch. You get the kids out there, or maybe you take your dad or your grandfather or your uncle or your grandmother or whatever, someone who hasn't fished in a while that maybe just sparked that interest again. So this is a really great program that Rhode Island's been doing for the last several years, and I encourage you guys to take advantage of it. And then the other thing too, you can kind of double down on this. If you catch a golden trout, which they have been stocked heavily across the state, take a picture of that and send it in to the email address I'm putting up here on the screen, and they will send you a gold trout pin. Those have to be in by May 5th, so that's Monday. But with the free fishing weekend this weekend, I think you got a good shot at making that happen. The other thing is the giveaway, which is ongoing, and we are seeing lots and lots more photos coming in now. We've got some largemouth bass, we've got some stripers, we've got a bunch of tog, we've got a lot of trout, a lot of stuff coming in. So that's been great. There are a couple that are contenders, but no clear winner. And if you don't know how this whole thing works, I pick something to give away, and then all the viewers out there, they catch a fish that's got to be recently caught. So you get a fish, take a nice photo, and just try to capture a nice scene, like what's behind me here. It would be something that sort of captures, exemplifies the New England fishing scene. Get the shot, and then send it in to me at danderson@thefisherman.com, or text it to the number on the screen. Let me know that you want to be in the contest, and just give me all the pertinent details, like where the fish was caught, how big it was, who caught it, all the important stuff. Send that in. We'll get you in the report here. We'll get you in the magazine. And hey, if you take a great photo, you may even win something. This time around, we're giving away a surf howdy made by me, which is a topwater spook plug intended for striped bass. And we're going to give away a Dexter fillet knife as well. So pretty good little prize pack there. This one's going to wrap up on May 25th, so you got just a little under a month to get that great photo. But I would also say that this next 3 weeks, probably some of the best 3 weeks of the entire season. So get out there, catch some fish, take some photos, and we'll see who wins. Starting things off in the North Country, as I like to call it, up in Vermont, Maine, and New Hampshire, I'm starting to see a lot more largemouth bass photos coming out of that region now. And they are sort of in that sweet spot of the pre-spawn largemouth fishing. So this is, high time. Might be some of the best fishing you see for the entire year up there. If you're a freshwater guy, really good time to get a really big fish. So swim baits are working, jigs are working, finesse baits are also working. So this is a great time to get out there. And if you're living down here in southern New England, where the largemouth fishing is slowing down a little bit, especially during the day, you can take a little drive up there with your kayak or your bass boat and cash in on that fishing like we had 2 or 3 weeks ago. Dropping down over the border now into Massachusetts, let's check in with Kevin Huang from Surfland Bait and Tackle.
What's up, guys? Kevin from Surfland Bait and Tackle, checking in with the weekly report. Sorry for the windy noise because it's a beautiful day, but it's a little windy out there. Shad fishing, oh man, those guys are doing really well right now. It picked up big time. They're doing it on shad flutter spoons with a tungsten weight, with a swivel, with a leader, like really light line. And color wise, pink chartreuses, black chartreuse, orange chartreuse. Some guys are getting them on shad darts. The fishing for shad's been on fire. Trout fishing, there's been some giant browns caught on Rapala, little Rapalas. They've been doing really well with that, freshwater wise. Pike fishing, this still exists. Mike in the Merrimack, giant caught, 45-inch pike, monster. And then all the trees and all the dandelions are blooming and budding. You know what that means? That means fish, 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 fish. Guys are trying for flounder now too. You got all the guys trying for the first striped bass on Plum Island. They're still trying, nothing yet on the island, but it could be any day now. I say within the next couple weeks you'll start hearing about people catching fish out in the mouth of the Merrimack, and then, you know, it's just gonna pick up from there, and then the fish are gonna push all the way up to, you know where, the dam, all the way up the river. So the fishing is just getting better and better day by day. So I'll see you guys next week.
Now we'll drop down to Boston. We'll check in with Danny Parma from Fish Bucket Sport Fishing.
Thanks, Dave. Dan checking in with this week's report. The boat is getting the final preparations in for Splash Day, which I believe, if all goes as planned, is Saturday. A lot of bait in the Boston area. I was in Chelsea Yacht Club on Thursday, and out in the distance in that Fish Pier, Boston Seaport area, there was a lot of seagulls working. There was ospreys diving, and all the way up in the Chelsea area at night in the lights were schools of herring. So the bait's definitely here. The stripers are here, just not in large numbers yet. It's a matter of time before I got one on the board. That's what I got for you guys. Stay safe. Big things to come.
Now we'll head inland out to Central Mass, and what I've been seeing this week is incredibly good smallmouth bass fishing in Wachusett Reservoir. Typically, the thing we see the most of is lake trout, but for whatever reason this year, the smallmouth is king, and these guys are catching some really beautiful fish, anywhere from 3 to 5 pounds. Seems like the bite's been very, very good, and they're getting it done a variety of ways. I've seen a lot of fish caught on shiners. But the guys that are throwing lures are doing well on jerk baits. They're doing well on finesse things like Ned rigs and hair jigs and things like that. And then more typical, regular jig with a trailer type of a thing is also getting it done. Chatter baits are getting it done. And I would think too, some mid-sized swim baits might get a nice fish as well. But we're seeing lots of nice ones. We're still seeing some lake trout, but it just seems like everybody's focused on the smallies this year, and it seems to really be paying off. Now let's head further west, and we're going to check in with Roy Leyva, who's actually coming to us live from the job site. So let's check in with him now.
Hey Dave, Roy Leyva here, checking in from Western Mass. Fishing continues to be, I want to say the word epic. I hate using that word, but it really has been because of the cold temperatures. Trout fishing, obviously they keep stocking. Some really big fish. Pike are done spawning, and they are everywhere in the shallows still. You've got crappie, which are in mode of spawning. Yellow perch are done spawning, and on top of that, shad have shown up in the Connecticut River, as well as some striped bass. Other than that, Wachusett and Quabbin, both strong fishing. Smallmouth, Lakers, salmon, you name it. I mean, it's an epic time of year. So get out here. Fishing's just, it is what it is. And believe it or not, I've got a knit cap on today because it is kind of cold. So dress for the occasion. Catch you guys next week.
Now we're going to make the long leap all the way back down to the south shore of Boston, where we are hearing reports of schoolie striped bass moving along the beaches now. A lot of these fish seem to be centered around like the North River area, which kind of tells me that they're probably holdover fish that are just poking their heads out. They are being touted as fresh fish. Some of them have lice on them, and maybe some of them did shoot through the canal. I don't think there's any science out there that tells us how quickly they pick up sea lice. But it doesn't really matter where they're from. It's exciting to hear about striped bass being along those beaches, swimming along those beaches before the end of April. So the striped bass fishing out there is beginning. It's only going to get better and better from here on out. And I would guess that maybe even by next week's report, we'll hear of the first couple schoolies showing up around Plum Island. So that's exciting stuff as well. Looking inland, we're seeing a lot of largemouth bass activity. We're seeing some really good trout fishing, and that extends out onto the Cape as well. And you know, it's kind of seems like broken record type of a thing here. It's very similar to last week. Good largemouth bass fishing. A lot of, you know, average size stocky trout, and then some really big fish as well. I actually spent Saturday out at Flax Pond with the Goose Hummock Shop. We're helping out a bunch of, you know, young anglers at their kids fishing day. It was kind of a rainy, not so friendly atmospheric day, so I did not get any footage. This camera's not waterproof, but I have some photos, and I just have to tell you guys, it was such a rewarding experience helping these kids out. And you know, it sort of renewed my faith in the youngest generation of anglers. You know, you worry about them with so much electronics, and just sort of being addicted to that instant gratification thing. But I can tell you that there are plenty of kids out there who can still grind it out. We were standing in a rainstorm, just pelting us with giant raindrops. I had Demetrius on one side of me, I had Hazel on the other. And these two kids, they would not put the rods away. They were so determined. And, you know, it really does your heart good to see that. So I want to say thanks to the guys from the Goose for inviting us out there, and also thank them for putting on such an incredible event. More than 200 kids showed up, and I think all of them walked away with a free rod and reel. So, I mean, that's the definition of a win-win situation. So that was great. On the saltwater end of things, you know, hearing a few schoolies around the Cape. These, I think, are definitely holdover fish that have popped out of an estuary. And then the only togging I'm really hearing about is centered around the west end of the canal, and then further west out toward like Dartmouth and Westport. The togging out in the western part of Buzzards Bay is still slow. I talked to Jason Colby. He made a trip 11 miles offshore to a wreck where he found some tog, some choggies, some cod, and caught the first few sea bass of the year that had to be tossed back because they're out of season. But you know, it's indicative of what's to come, and that's what I have for you guys in Massachusetts this week.
Hi, Dave. Got a east flood tide this morning behind me on the canal. So the temperature yesterday, the water temperature in Buzzards Bay was 49 degrees. Not quite what we wanted, but at least it's heading in the right direction. And of course, that's the body of water that feeds the canal behind me on an east tide. And so there's a new regulation for measuring stripers this year. The tail has to be squeezed together, and so you measure it from the closed mouth or snout all the way back to the squeezed together tail. And the size of a keeper is still 28 inches to less than 31. So some guys have been doing well in the Taunton River, which is kind of close to the canal. Rob Fish Sticks Pisa caught his first fish the other day, and Hammer and Jack Botten has been doing well there for a couple of weeks. They've been using soft plastic paddle tails, small Green Max Savages, and Fish Labs. And Bill on the Grill Produce informed me that Charlie Murphy, the pride of the Massachusetts Striped Bass Association, has been doing well in Rhode Island. So hopefully the school that Charlie's been catching fish in is heading for the canal pretty soon. Charlie's a great guy and a great fisherman. So my tip of the week is that when you're taking the seaweed off of a lure, off the plugs, be careful. For instance, if you have a surface plug that has a belly hook and a tail hook, and you're pulling the seaweed off the belly hook, your hand could slip and go straight down into the tail hook. So be careful, especially when you're actually pulling the seaweed off. Sometimes it breaks and your hand might slip, so just be very careful. So until next time, catch a big one.
Are you the best angler in the Northeast? Well, now is your chance to prove it. The Fisherman's Dream Boat Contest is back. Win this Steigercraft center console powered by Yamaha along with these other great prizes. Fish hard and weigh in as many of these species to be top on the leaderboard. What's the catch? You must be a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine. All it takes is one fish on the board to win a great prize, so however you fish, you have a shot. For all the details and official rules, visit thefisherman.com.
Moving over into Rhode Island, we'll start things off with an East Bay report from TJ Kopecky.
Thanks, Dave. Hey guys, lots of stuff going on in the East Bay. We're going to get right to it. We're going to start off in the saltwater, and we've got our first reports of some striped bass being caught in the Warren River, not the Barrington River. I've been working hard to catch fish in the Barrington River. I haven't caught anything yet, but my friend Frank checked in with me and let me know that he got 2 fish in the low 20s way up in the mouth of the Warren River towards Jacobs Point. And he was just using a 5-inch white paddle tail, and that's what he caught them on. And I've been hearing some other reports of some fish off of Naya Point, and there are a lot of small school fish, but it's very spot specific, tide specific. The window to catch them is so small right now, and I get it. The water temperature is almost at 50 up inside the bay. Outside, it's kind of hovering at that 48, 49. So these fish are, just moving around looking for some bait and some forage, other than the herring. But as I've been fishing at the Barrington Bridge at night, I've seen lots and lots of bigger herring inside the pilings in the eddies, trying to get up through the bridge. And I've also seen a lot of small schools of like 2 to 3 inch. I think they're just rain bait type of fish, but there's a lot of them in there. And still waiting to see a cinderworm hatch, which will come pretty soon. It came early last year, and we had more bass, but got to realize we had actually a real winter this year in the East Bay, and that water's just colder, and things have just fallen into place as they always used to, probably 3 or 4 years ago. The Tog, we got lots of the Tog going on. We got the Tog up in the Taunton River. We've got the Tog underneath the Mount Hope Bridge. We've got the Tog up inside the mouth of the Warren River also. Haven't seen any fish being caught behind the Torresey yet or off the Barrington Bridge, but any day now we're going to see fish in there. Mount Hope Bridge, if you're in a boat, you're going to fish on that Portsmouth side. On the second piling in, there's a mussel bite in there. It's a great spot for early season or around any of those pilings right there. Look for the Old Stone Bridge in Tiverton is another good spot right now. I get some reports of some Todd being caught there also. And that's in Tiverton on the Portsmouth line. But lots of things happening, and you really got to put the time in right now to find fish, find that window that they're going to bite, find the right tide and the right current. We just had a king tide recently, and I was able to scope out some spots on that real king tide and see some stuff that I haven't seen in a while, just to get my bearings again. But it's a good time to get out there when those tides are low. Going forward, I think we're actually going to see some bigger waves of fish come in, and I think it's going to open all up. We've had some really high sun and some good warming with the tide in the middle of the day that was low, heats up that mud. So I just think that once that water gets to that magic 50, we're going to see things starting to happen. So from the East Bay, we'll catch you guys next week. Tight lines.
There's a little bit of a battle going on between the 2 main saltwater species in Rhode Island waters right now. It's either going to be Tog or it's going to be striped bass. If you ask me, Tog are winning this week. Spring togging is a lot different than what we see in the fall when it's kind of gangbusters, lock and load fishing. There's a lot more moving around required, and you're fishing in a lot more diverse depths. These fish are here to spawn, but as we saw last week, these fish are, sometimes moving out of that shallow spawning zone and finding better action out a little bit deeper. And so we're going to check in now with our newest field correspondent who's starting this week. This is Todd Treonze, and he had some really cool insights into finding blackfish at this time of the year. So check this out, and also he had a really cool experience with some peregrine falcons as well. So here he is.
Hey Dave, Todd Treonze, Hooked Fishing Gear. Wanted to give a quick update on some tog fishing from late last week. One of the things I've noticed is the lower you go in the bay, obviously the cooler the water temperature gets. I was hopping around Newport Harbor yesterday morning and was reporting temps between 48.6 and 49.5. As tide came in, obviously the colder water was pushing in, things got colder. Quieter in that area. Mid-bay late last week, was finding fish actually in deeper water. Tried shallower pilings around bridges and was not getting bites. Got a call from a buddy. They were out in about 40 feet. Went out there, got a couple nice keeper tog. The other thing that happened, which was kind of cool, and I sent a video and a picture in about this, is that while I was fishing underneath one of the bridges, I saw a family of peregrine falcons feeding on blue jays, and one of the little blue jays landed on my boot, on my NRS boundary boot, and stayed with me on the kayak for about 10 minutes while his family was hunted. And once the falcons cleared out, he flew off the shore. So pretty cool Nat Geo moment I got to see last week while tog fishing. Anyway, bites definitely picking up as these water temperatures increase. Was seeing mid-50s mid-bay, which is really promising. And hope everybody has a great week out in the water and stay hooked out there. Thanks, everyone.
On the striped bass end of things, striper fishing's been inconsistent so far. Water temps out front are just about to touch 50. They're probably touching 50 today with this beautiful weather. I didn't check this morning, but it was 48.5, 49.5 the last couple days. And but if you look further up the bay, you're seeing 54, 55, 56. Now that's plenty warm enough to get these striped bass active. The thing that's sort of holding things back is that over these last few years, we've seen migratory stripers showing up a lot earlier than what we're seeing this year, and that's no surprise. We had a really cold winter and a cold spring. So the best fishing is up in the bay, where some newly arriving fish are mingling in with some holdover fish. And what you want to do is you want to get yourself in positions where these fish are likely to sort of be concentrated. So if you're fishing out front, you're going to be mostly fishing for smaller fish, and you're going to want to fish migratory obstacles like a big long point or like a strong cove with really strong sharp edges. These are the types of places that tend to draw in these migratory fish or sort of stop them from migrating, or just hold up the migration so they have to kind of pass around an obstacle, and that is a really great place to find early season fish. If you're up in the bay, you want to think about what's going to concentrate them. So it's either going to be like a jet of warm water coming out of a shallow estuary, or it's going to be an area where there's a lot of bait fish. Again, could be the mouth of an estuary. Also, really great places to look at this time of the year are herring runs, because you've got that reliable bait that has to go there. And these stripers are not dumb. They're going to go up and take advantage of that. I fished a few runs this week in Rhode Island that were down closer to the ocean, found no fish. I think my next move is going to be to head up into the bay a little bit and try some of the runs up there. Probably going to find better results. So striper fishing is chugging along, and I think within the next 7 to 10 days, things are really going to start to break open. We're going to see a lot more diversity on where we can catch these fish, sizes of the fish, and just the biomass as a whole. It's just my favorite time of the year, honestly. Another thing that's really going well right now is freshwater fishing. We're seeing a lot of nice largemouth. A lot of these fish are being caught after dark. I know Jeff Sullivan was getting some nice ones this week after dark. He was throwing chatterbaits. And then Jeremy Campbell, who's as a friend of the magazine here, he had some really nice fish after dark on wake baits this week. So the largemouth bite is looking very good in Rhode Island. And while we're talking about Jeff, let's check in with him. Here he is, Jeff Sullivan.
What's up, Dave? What's going on, guys? Checking back in with you guys this week. First, I want to cover the freshwater side of things, and it's been absolute gangbusters. I've been going pretty much night and day, through the night into the morning sometimes, and I've been literally finding fish all over the place. So it's been very, very good. As far as the largemouth side of things go, it's been just stellar. So, whether it's spinnerbaits, bladed jigs, topwater spooks, like your head and spook, your Zara spook, buzz baits as well as getting it done, wake baits. I kind of got off the Huddleston bite a little bit. I use that more towards the earlier part of the season, and I'm starting to kind of get into my pattern of stuff I used to throw this time of year. Finesse style too works amazing. So if you have to downsize to get those bites for those finicky fish, because some of them are still finicky this time of year, you can get those fish to eat. You just got to be a little more patient, pay attention to the subtleties in your presentations, and you will get bit. What I mean by subtleties is, like changing of a blade, go gold silver, Colorado blade to a willow leaf blade, even a changing of a skirt. Sometimes you have to take the skirt off, downsizing on your weight size, even the leader material you're using. It's just stuff like that. Just pay attention to what you're throwing, and what you've had success with in the past this time of year, and then it's not working. Switch it up a little bit, see what happens. You'd be surprised. But yeah, the panfish bite's been really good. The perch bite's been really good. The crappie bite's been really good. The pre-spawn crappie bite's been on for probably about a week now. They're pushed up, which I like. I like where they're at right now. It's perfect. Trout bite, the Rhode Island still stocking trout throughout the whole state. So if you guys keep an eye on that, they're stocking chock full of trout everywhere. So just keep an eye on that. If you trout goers and fishermen out there want to do some spring trout fishing still, there's plentiful fish out there for you guys to catch. So as far as the saltwater side of things go, my tog season starts tomorrow, and my striped bass season has commenced as of last night, and striped bass fishing has been very good. So there's a lot of fish around, guys, a lot of things to do, a lot of places to go. What I like to do is go everywhere, be everywhere, and fish everywhere, and you'll eventually get on a bite. So my advice to you guys this year is get out while the weather's nice, and the weather windows are vastly opening up as we speak. And hey, we just had a new moon, and I love new moons, and you know what I always say off the back of a moon is that's when the monsters come out. So hey, I'm gonna get to fishing, and I'll check with you guys next week. Later.
Now, moving around Point Judith out along the South County beaches, the reports are about the same. You've got some migratory stripers moving along. You've got some other fish that are up in the salt ponds. And then on those rocky spots, you've got some opportunities for some togging. Outside of that, we're just waiting for more fish to show up along those beaches. And that's what I have for you guys at Rhode Island this week.
For more than 20 years, anglers everywhere have come to know one thing, that nothing says no to fish bites.
Crossing over into Connecticut, I think the big news of the week is that tog season is closed, and that it's kind of sad to see it go, because as always, right before the closure, we started seeing much more consistent fishing and much bigger fish. We got to start a letter writing campaign or something here, because even if they want to keep the season short and just move it from April 1st to April 15th, and then the closure from April 30th to like May 15th, that would be a much better month to fish for tog in Connecticut. And what we saw to close out the season, we saw some really nice fish, some double-digit fish, much more consistent bites, but that's over and done with now. And the main saltwater species being pursued right now are striped bass. By and large, your better option right now is to fish the Western Sound. There are bigger fish out there. We've heard of fish up to 30 pounds. As you get further and further east, you want to concentrate on estuaries. You want to move up into some of these estuaries like the Thames River or the Connecticut River, or fish the adjacent areas to the mouths. And again, just like we were talking about in Rhode Island, if you think about places that are going to concentrate these fish, you're going to have a much better shot at catching them. And inside the Connecticut River, we've been seeing pretty consistent results on striped bass. We've been seeing some fish up around the herring run, some much nicer fish too, fish into the upper 30-inch class, maybe even touching 40 inches, and the numbers have been pretty good. And for a little bit more on that, let's check in now with Captain Mike Roy from Real Cast Charters.
Hey everybody, for this week's Fisherman Report, the striped bass fishing has improved dramatically. We're doing really well on soft plastics like big sluggos and big finesse fish. We've also caught our first fish of this on top water of the season. The big news that we're seeing for this year is the best herring run in probably the past 10 years. Now, that's because the midwater trawler quota for sea herring has been reduced, and they're not targeting the herring and damaging the river herring population. So they are going up the rivers, and that should mean a really good striped bass run of pretty good sized fish feeding on those herring. In addition to that, over the next couple of weeks is usually when we'll see the first weak fish of the season. So I'm going to be on the lookout for that. Fishing is really starting to blow open now. So over the next few weeks, we have some openings. Jump online if you want to book it, and we'll see you out there. Thanks.
Now let's head up the Connecticut River Valley and check in with Rowan Lytle.
Hey everybody, after a substantial little midweek spike in the flow in the Connecticut River, the Thompsonville gauge came up above 11 feet. Now it's coming back down, dropping to more seasonable flows again. We should see fairly stable fishing conditions through the weekend and next week. The shad run's improving substantially. There's quite a few herring in the river. Remember, it is still and probably forever will be illegal to target and keep river herring. If you see people doing so, make sure to report that. They are an at-risk run, and they have been in decline generally, but this year's a little bit of a better run. But the shad numbers, pretty decent. People are catching some. Water temperatures are coming up substantially. A lot of the bass are starting to spawn already. Smallmouth are kind of getting into the spawning mode, and largemouth are seeking out beds as well. Pike are post-spawn and should feed fairly aggressively for the next few weeks until the water gets hotter. Channel catfish bite should be really good right now. This is a good time of year to get on the really big ones. And of course, the carp fishing has been quite good. In some coves, they're spawning already, but for the most part, they're kind of in and out of that and feeding fairly well. I saw a lot of good feeding fish today and got my client on a really nice one. So a lot of carp to be caught. Catfishing should be good, and the bass are kind of on the spawn, but on the whole, fishing's pretty good. Water levels, not half bad. Water temperatures, perfectly seasonable and very good.
And now let's drop down to the other side of the mouth of the river and check in with Matt Stone from Black Hall Outfitters.
What's up everyone, Matt here from Black Hall Outfitters in Westbrook with this week's fishing report. This streak of 70-degree days has definitely changed things for the better. A lot of good active striper reports, a lot of notes that they seem to be dumping out of their holdover spots. So I like an outgoing tide this time of year. The water is generally warmer, and it's just going to fire up those fish a little bit more, get them a little bit more organized. Still throwing a lot of soft plastics. I was catching stripers yesterday on Lunker City finesse fish, just weightless, shallow. You can do all sorts of stuff. You can do 7-inch, 5-inch. I don't think we're at the big soft plastics or big top waters point yet, but definitely time to start throwing some spooks and stuff like that, small poppers. Maybe work them a little slower than you normally would since they are still waking up in that cooler water, but who knows given the bite. Other than that, freshwater is still really good. I'm seeing some lily pads come up in my local lake, which is always fun. So definitely targeting the edges of those new growth vegetation areas, looking for spawning beds and things of that nature. Trout still very good across the board, no new news there. For Connecticut, spring blackfish season is over. That ended at the end of April, so we are into stripers, and I would not be surprised if some bluefish showed up here coming up pretty soon. They usually make themselves known as bluefish do first week of May, so keep an eye out for those guys, and if your plug comes back with no hooks and a twisted split ring, you might have found those blues. Good luck everyone.
And then heading west from there, along the beaches, we're seeing striped bass activity, and it just gets better and better the further west we go. Seeing some pretty nice fish. I heard about fish in the 20 to 25 pound class being caught from like New Haven out to Milford. And then when you get more toward Norwalk and then heading into New York, is much larger fish. We're seeing 20 to 30 pound fish with fair regularity. There's some bunker schools out there, and things are looking pretty good. But I'm just parroting things that other people have told me, so let's check in with somebody who's got his finger on the pulse. Here's Max Finch from Fisherman's World.
Hey everyone, Max here from Fisherman's World with a fishing report. We're on the tail end of April. We got a couple days of the blackfish season. If guys are gonna get out, I would concentrate, shallower rock piles as we're gonna find your fish. The bite can be slower, just put your time in, you can find some quality fish. We do have crabs, sandworms, and clams. Sandworms work really good this time of year. For guys think that only crabs work, that's not true. So moving into May 1st, porgies open up. May 4th, we got fluke opening up. And May 18th, we got black sea bass opening up. For early season porgies, Oyster Bay is the place to be. The bay's big, you can move around, you can find your own fish. You can fish anywhere from 10 to 25 feet. That's a really good depth to, find them. Remember, bring clam chum You can bring all the fish to your boat. You can be in a fleet of people, and you can be the only one really bailing the porgies if you have clam chunk. 32A is a really good spot for sea bass on the opener. You have a big, really big structure there. You have the tip on the south end, you got the north end, you got the east end is a little deeper, but bring clams from there too. They'll take a variety of stuff, jigs, diamond jigs, butterfly jigs, traditional bucktails with gulp on them. And then striped bass to our west is starting to really heat up. We're starting to see bunker schools starting to move in. Guys are starting to get some fish on the troll. I have seen guys starting to chunk at night, finding fish up to 40 inches, but Hempstead Harbor, Mamaroneck, Execution, and all the way down to the Throgs. Locally, our tidal rivers, our beaches are holding stripers. Norwalk Harbor is really good. Norwalk River is really good. Sandworms and bloodworms are really good this time of year for bait. I've seen a lot of pictures, guys catching them on blood, especially the selects that we have. Some of them are monsters. But that's the fish report moving into May. Everybody's going to get excited. We got fishing season coming up. Thanks, good luck.
And that's what I have for you guys in the reports this week. Hopefully it's going to inspire you to get out there. And if you're in Rhode Island, don't forget to cash in on that free fishing weekend. You don't have to have a license. You can go do some freshwater fishing anywhere you want in the Ocean State, whether you live in Rhode Island or you don't. And it's a great opportunity to expand your fishing horizons. If you're not a subscriber to the Fisherman magazine, I highly recommend you head over to our website. That's thefisherman.com. We cover all the fishing from Delaware all the way to Maine, and we cover every angling discipline, whether you're an offshore guy, an inshore guy, kayak guy, surf guy, or just strictly freshwater. It's all covered. It's $31.95 for the year. You're going to get 12 paper magazines sent to your mailbox. You're going to get 26 digital editions sent to your email. And on top of all that, you're going to get digital access to all the back issues plus our other 2 editions. So I work for the New England edition, so you can sign up for that one. You're going to get digital access to the Long Island Metro edition and the New Jersey Delaware edition. So you're getting 3 magazines for the price of 1. It's kind of a no-brainer if you ask me. But if you head over to the website and you're not sure, you want to pull the trigger, at the very least, give us a like and subscribe here on YouTube and hit that little bell thing right down there so you get a notification every time we post something new. I appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll see you next week.